everyone, my name is Priyanka and I will soon be a first year internal medicine resident at one of the universities here in the United States. In this video, I will discuss 5 most frequently asked questions by foreign medical graduates or international medical graduates as they embark on their USMLE journey. Question number 1. Is my USMLE Step 1 score important? And the answer to that question is absolutely yes. Your USMLE Step 1 score is probably one of the most important components of your residency application, and this is why. Every year, thousands of medical students or medical school graduates from all over the world apply to secure a residency position here in the United States. According to the World Directory of Medical Schools, there are more than 2,800 operational medical schools, and there are more than 100 that are no longer operational. We also know that every medical school has a different way of grading their medical students, and we also know that the number of years you spend going to a medical school depends on the country. For example, some countries might require you to go to medical school for 6 years, some countries might require you to go to medical school for 5.5 years, and some countries might require you to go to medical school for 4 years, just like in the United States. So, it becomes really difficult to judge a medical student or medical graduate solely based upon their medical school transcript. USMLE STEP exams are standardized exams, and the scores make it easier for the programs to get a general overview of your medical knowledge regardless of where you went to medical school. Now, this Step 1 score is not just important for foreign medical graduates or international medical graduates, it's equally important for American medical graduates as well. A high USMLE Step 1 score helps your application get noticed and increases your chances of being invited for an interview. In a program director survey conducted by NRMP in 2016, 67% of the program directors mentioned that they will look at an applicant's USMLE Step 1 score before inviting them over for an interview. What does that tell you? It tells you that USMLE Step 1 scores are extremely important, and you should work as hard as possible to achieve the highest possible USMLE Step 1 score. Question number 2. Are my scores everything? And the answer to that question is absolutely not. When you apply for a residency position, there is much more that you need to enter into your application, not just your scores. Now think about it for a second. I'm sure you all know of at least one person who has got exceptionally high scores. And do you think the person received an interview from every program he or she applied to? I don't think so, because it doesn't work that way. If you visit the website of a particular program, then you will notice that each program mentions that they look at the applicant's entire profile before inviting them for an interview. And that is very true. If you have a great score, then congratulations, you did a wonderful job. But if you do not have a very high score, if you have average scores or below average scores, that's not the end of the world. It just means that you have to work a little harder to make your profile a little more noticeable. For instance, how about writing a very powerful personal statement? I cannot emphasize to you how important personal statements are. This probably is one of those components of your application that is completely under your control. Yet many applicants, for some reason, choose to ignore this fact. In a survey conducted by NRMP in 2016, programs were asked to rate the importance factors that played a role in inviting a candidate over for interview, where 1 meant the factor was not important at all, and 5 meant the factor is very important. And guess what? USMLE Step 1 was one of the factors, and it was rated as 4.2. The other factor was personal statement, and it was rated as 3.8. Now, what does that tell you about the importance of personal statements? It means that personal statements are absolutely very important part of your applications, and for some reason, applicants always seem to ignore that. You should always focus on things that are much more under your control. You have to understand that once your exam scores are released, they are there, they're out there. There's nothing you can do to change it. What you can do is accept your scores, own your scores, and move on. Don't spend your precious time fighting over your scores. If you have your scores, accept them. If you have another test to take, then work on the other test so you could improve your score on that test. If you've already taken step 1 and step 2, now it's time that you make yourself a better candidate. How? By gaining other clinical experiences, other meaningful, valuable experiences like research, more hands-on experiences, maybe publishing some papers, whatever it takes to make you a stronger candidate. Question number 3. My USMLE score is X. What are my chances of getting matched? Now, I have seen this particular question float around a lot of online USMLE forums, and I can totally understand why somebody might post a question like this. At desperate times, we all seek comfort, even if the comfort is coming from a complete stranger who probably has never applied to any program yet. But honestly, every profile is different. Your exam scores are only one component of your application. Don't get tied up on just your scores. It is only but natural to wonder if you're going to match to your field of choice or your program of choice, but asking online for affirmation is not the way to go. A better way would be to go to NRMP website and see the statistics for yourself. The numbers present in the NRMP data by no means are an absolute measure of whether you're going to match or not, but they can definitely act as a guide. For example, in 2016, the mean USMLE Step 1 score of the candidates who matched into anesthesiology, non-USIMGs, it was 237. So basically, by looking at the data, you can see what your scores are. You can compare with the people who have already matched into certain specialties, and you can get an idea of what you need to do to improve your profile. As I mentioned earlier, your scores are not everything. It will just give you a basic idea. So if you are lacking behind in the scores, let's say you're applying for anesthesiology and you see that the mean score is 237 and you only have 225, then that doesn't mean that you cannot get into anesthesiology. That just means that the mean is higher than your score. And if you want to get into the program, maybe you want to do something else that will bring your profile into the program director's attention. Question number 4. My USMLE exam score is X. Should I continue my journey? Now, this is another of those questions that I see very frequently on online USMLE forums, particularly from those who do not have very high scores or who have below average scores. And it's a completely valid concern. You've spent so much time, so much money, so much energy on this journey, and now somehow you got a score that was way below your expectation, and now you don't know what to do. Now you're all confused. I personally might not be the best person to answer this question, but I do believe that you know yourself the best. You know your situation the best. You know your financial situation. You know your mental situation. You know what kind of support you have from your friends and family the best. Do not let anybody else decide this for you. Few years down the road, you do not want to look back on this day and think to yourself, if only I had applied. Or a few years down the road, you don't want to look back on this day and tell yourself, I listened to that person and the person suggested I should not go ahead, so I gave up on my journey. Once again, look at the NRMP data and be guided accordingly. Your job, if you have a low score, is to prove to the program and to the program director that despite having a lower score, you are worth being given a shot at becoming a resident in that particular institution. Now the burden is on you, and it's up to you to make it work. And I think that with hard work and perseverance, you can make it. At the same time, it's extremely important to have realistic expectations. If you have a score that you think is in a very low range, like 200 or lower than that, then I don't think it's a very wise idea to apply to categorical surgical programs, no matter how much you want it, because those programs are very competitive. So just make informed choices and informed decisions based on whatever you've got. And this leads me to question number 5. My year of graduation is more than X years. Should I even apply for a residency position in the United States, or should I even continue my USMLE journey? Personally, I know a lot of older graduates who have matched successfully into their specialty of choice or the programs of their choice. If you go into a program's website, then you can clearly see what their expectations are regarding year of graduation. some programs say that they prefer people who have graduated in the past 3 years. Some say they prefer people who've graduated in the past 2 years, but a lot of them say that they do not have any particular year of graduation cut off. So do not let year of graduation be the only limiting factor in your application. Go to the website individually, check what the requirements are, and provided you meet all of the requirements, just go ahead and apply. You just have to be willing to go through all the websites and finding out what their particular criteria for year of graduation is, and then you're all set. I really hope that today's video helped you. I'm going to try and answer more questions in the future. Last year I was in your shoes, so I completely empathize with what you're going through right now. So please like the video if you liked what I said in the video. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again in next video. Until then, take care of yourself and your loved ones. I will see you soon again. Bye.